UFC Nashville is this weekend, my boys, and honestly, I'm hyped for it. It's not the craziest card we've ever seen. It's pretty solid for a fight night, but it's nothing revolutionary here. The universe isn't going to implode over Derek Lewis versus Teixeira, but the fact that we went a week and a half or 2 weeks without any fights, especially coming off at 317, which was an amazing card, we're itching for action. We got to close this summer out right, so I feel like that this fight night, I am excited for it, and it is a solid card. It's nothing crazy, but it is what it fucking is. So today I'm going to be giving y'all my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Nashville going down this weekend, man. Starting off with the first fight of the night we got, my boys. Mitch Ramirez taking on Mike Davis. Now, I feel like this one, to be honest, is going to end like a Tarantino flick. And it ain't going to be for fucking Mike Davis because there's a reason why this guy is a minus 1100 favorite. One of the biggest favorites, if not the biggest fucking favorite on the card, okay? Mitch Ramirez can totally get it done. You look at that 8-2 record and you think, you know what, that's not too bad. But it fucking is. This ain't Toontown, my friend, because at the end of the day, he's 0-2 inside of the UFC, both times suffering knockout losses. So Mike Davis is a guy who is a solid striker, you know what I mean? He is a well-rounded fighter. He isn't the hardest hitter, though, you know what I'm saying? He ain't no fucking Jeremy Stevens, but at the end of the day, he's not a great submission artist, but his wrestling and his overall grappling, especially on the offensive end of things, is what kind of gets him through fights. Like, he does have solid striking, and he does have solid pop behind his shots. He's got a few KOs on that fucking record. More so KOs than not. Like, the guy has a majority of finishes, but at the end of the day, his grappling, man, is good enough to where that's the thing that he's really been focusing on over his past couple of performances. He's coming off a loss to Garcia, who going into the fight, yeah, it was damn near pick'em odds, and this is my fucking friend, this is far from pick'em odds, but against Ziyam, it was pretty much a 50-50 fight, but Ziyam, a big argument going into that fight was that, his grappling isn't going to be able to hang with Davis, and he was the one that was stuffing down most of Davis's takedowns and was looking good in the scrambles, and just in general, like, Ziyam showed levels of improvement, whereas Davis, he's a pretty inactive fighter. Even seeing him fight 2 times within the same 6-month span for him is pretty fucking good. Like, he goes kind of a year or two a fucking way from shop, and then all of a sudden comes back and gets a solid win or a solid fucking loss. But at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna trust in Mike Davis to get this one. I feel like he's gonna have most of the advantages here. Like, don't get me wrong, Mitch Ramirez, he's an alright fucking grappler, and he's an alright fucking striker, but I feel like Mike Davis is gonna have the clear advantage on the feet, the clear advantage on the ground, and just the better experience in the UFC. Like, Mike Davis is 11-3. A lot of those fights are coming from the UFC level, whereas Mitch Ramirez, the only 2 fights he's had in the UFC are back-to-back fucking knockout losses. So I feel like Davis has a really good ability to maintain the distance and impose whatever pace he wants. He's a solid volume striker on the feet, so he does have a bit of high output, but nothing too crazy we've never seen before. But I feel like it's gonna be enough to not even necessarily knock out Mitch Ramirez, but the fact that the guy is a bit chinny, especially at this UFC level, I think Mike Davis can win this fight however he wants. A submission, a knockout, or a dominant decision, I don't fucking know. I mean, like, the knockout power could be something to worry about from Ramirez, but I feel like he just has not shown anything in the UFC that he is on the level of a guy like Davis, who I feel like is the more well-rounded fighter, the more dangerous fighter, and the more proven fucking fighter. So I say Davis, there's a reason why this guy's about to do a Tarantino flick on him. There's a reason why he's one of the biggest favorites on the card. I'm going to be trusting him to get this one done however the fuck he wants. So moving on up next to a heavyweight scrap we got here. An actual prospect versus prospect matchup for heavyweight, man. We got Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Valter Walker. Now, I feel like the betting odds are a little deceiving. It seems like a lot of people are going with Nzechukwu, and I fucking understand that because that's going to be my pick as well. But to be honest with you, there's a world where I really do see Valter Walker winning this one. And honestly, his grappling is just going to either be way too much for Nzechukwu and maybe his takedown defenses and all that. Valter Walker gets some kind of submission or just dominant ground and pound TKO or something like that, because Walker does have, unlike his brother, some pretty legitimate fucking grappling for the blobby heavyweight standards. He is not even close to a jailed fucking Almeida on the ground. That's not what I'm fucking saying, but you gotta consider a lot of these heavyweight prospects are just not it and not impressive, man. You get one win like a fucking Teixeira and you're in the rankings. You get one loss like a Rizvan Kuniev and you're in the rankings. Motherfucking heavyweight is fucked. It's an upside down world, okay? So when I say that Valter Walker has solid grappling, good grappling for heavyweight, you gotta consider the fucking circumstances. Anything at light heavyweight or below, this guy is fucking nothing. But at the end of the day, 13-1 record and genuine prospect for the division. His grappling is solid. He's young at 27 years old. His striking isn't all that, but it's enough to kind of hang on the feet. He's coming off of a couple of solid fucking wins, the most recent being Junior Tafa, so it's not that much. The whole thing about Valter Walker is impressive, but not that fucking much. That's what I'm kind of just describing here as the vibe, where you have Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's a bit the opposite. He has a lot more losses on his record, but at the same time, the move to heavyweight was absolutely a really good idea for him. He's 2-0 at heavyweight, both knockout fucking wins, and I understand he's facing Chris Barnett, and I believe it was like Lucas Alexander, so a bit of back-to-back jabroni matchups for Nzechukwu, but I feel like the guy is good enough of a striker, hits fucking hard enough, and has solid enough takedown defense to where I think he's going to be beating up Valter Walker, okay? Valter Walker, again, has only lost once, so it is hard to get him out of there, but he isn't too impressive in the grand fucking scheme of things. His grappling is going to be the biggest problem here for Nzechukwu, because his takedown defense, again, it's solid, but it's not really all there. Nzechukwu's takedown defense is definitely someone that's going to worry me in this matchup, because Walker, I feel like, is going to be hunting for the takedowns early in the fight, and when you have a guy like Nzechukwu who has been shown to be susceptible to early pressure, so if Walker brings that early pressure and just moves the fuck forward, dictates the pace and flow of the fight, and just dictates where it goes from the fucking jump, Nzechukwu can be pretty uncomfortable in there, and maybe he'll become 2-1 at heavyweight. But hopefully not. I'm rooting for Nzechukwu, but he does have to worry about the takedowns from Walker. Nzechukwu is going to really want to manage the distance by throwing a few jabs, throwing a few leg kicks, keeping him at bay, and stalling out Walker's entries. Because again, if Walker can dictate where he wants this fight to go whenever, it's going to be a fucking problem, because the grappling is something that is going to be clearly there for Walker, and the striking is going to be someone that's clearly there for Nzechukwu. So whose style is going to be able to get the better of who? Nzechukwu's nasty, clean fucking striking, especially for the big boy weight classes, or is it a guy that's Valter Walker who has a bit of a better record and has a bit more of that wrestling pedigree? So we'll fucking see it. I'm going to be trusting Nzechukwu though. Walker's going to really want to shoot for takedowns early and try and get this fight in the clinch whenever he can, but I feel like Nzechukwu is riding the better momentum, and he's going to be able to get a knockout fucking win here. There's a reason he's the favorite. I am worried about it, but I'm going to trust in it. So moving on up next to Jake motherfucking Matthews taking on cheating Njokuani. Now, the thing about Njokuani is that this guy is a fucking hardcore dream. Everybody seems to be hopping on the wave, man. This guy is a knockout artist, and he is, I sound like, again, Joe Rogan from The Hangover of the Taporia card. This guy's a knockout artist. He's a knockout artist. Shut the fuck up, man. It was fucking driving me crazy. But at the end of the day, Njokuani, he is good. I think he's beatable at the same time. You look at that 25-10 record, and you think, all right, maybe he's not too crazy. But the guy has racked up some solid fucking wins in the UFC, and I understand he kind of went on a win streak, went on a loss streak, and now he's back on a win streak, so you kind of don't know when the momentum is suddenly going to shift the opposite fucking way. But Jake Matthews is a guy who is kind of in a similar boat, where he kind of wins one, loses one, win one, loses one. He can't really get into the full momentum of things and really form a solid fucking streak to earn his way to the top 5 or top 10, but Matthews is good. He does have crisp boxing, he's got solid takedown defense, and he's got kind of a reliable submission game in his back pocket. So I feel like Njokuani, his time is going to want to be fucking now. He's the much kind of older fighter here, so I feel like he's going to want to get the fuck after it, set the heavier pace, and really aim for the knockout, because it is possible to beat Matthews, but motherfucker, it's possible to beat Njokuani. I'm going to be going with a slight underdog in Jake Matthews, because I do think that Njokuani is good, and if he is setting a really kind of brawl heavy kind of vibe, I feel like that's not going to play into Matthews' favor, because he kind of does take a bit of risk in these kind of exchanges with heavy hitters, and it doesn't really work out too well for him a lot of the time. He can kind of get rattled if he walks into big power shots, and Njokuani is a guy who hits fucking hard. So at the same time, Matthews doesn't have a lot of finishing ability, so he's going to want to take this one to the judges' scorecards, really focus on maintaining the distance, initiating the grappling, and avoiding the Muay Thai pressure that Njokuani is going to throw. So I feel like if he can really utilize the takedown defense and just even offensive grappling in general and try and get this fight to the ground and really just hold his own on the feet while they are exchanging on the feet, I feel like that Matthews is able to win this one. He had a good last win. It was a bit of a stinker of a fight, but I think it was at UFC 312 against fucking Francisco Prada, the fucking anti-Drew Dober that we got going on. So he's coming off a solid win. Wasn't anything too exciting, but I feel like this fight is maybe gonna, let's hope it's fucking ends in some kind of finish here, man. So Njokuani, he definitely has the power advantage, he has the length advantage, and he has momentum on his side. He's on a 3 or 4 fight win streak right now, so, and a lot of them are coming via finish, but Jake Matthews just has a bit more of that experience in the UFC. I feel like he has the grappling advantage, and I feel like Njokuani's chin can be a little bit questionable at times as well. So Njokuani's definitely going to want to keep this one standing, pick all the right shots to land heavy strikes and kind of break Matthews' rhythm in there, whereas Matthews is going to have to try and neutralize that bullshit by fucking putting a solid pace on him and throwing in occasional takedowns and maintaining a solid pressure and aim more so for a decision win instead of a finish. So I'm going to be going with Jake Matthews as the underdog pick here, man. So Njokuani could totally get it done. Again, a hardcore fucking dream. People are riding the hype of this guy, and Matthews is a people forget, man, kind of fighter, but I'm going to be trusting in the people forget second pick here, all right? Moving on up next to another bit of a butcher, and I think we're going to see on display here, okay? It's going to be like a scene out of fucking Invincible or The Boys. We got Max Griffin versus Chris fucking Curtis, and I'm going with Chris Curtis. I feel like he's one of just the safer picks on the card, man. He's not a massive favorite like a Mike fucking Davis, but at the end of the day, Max Griffin just, when I look at this guy, he's got a few fucking KOs, okay? He has a few wins here and there, you know what I mean? Like, the guy is good at mixing it up with the knees, the kicks, the punches, and he does have solid grappling, you know what I mean? He knows how to mix it up, but there is nothing in Max Griffin's game that is really just overall impressive to me, man, or really just stands out a lot compared to these guys that are lingering outside the rankings like a Chris Curtis, because Chris Curtis might not fucking be all that, but at least he has a few attributes that stand out amongst his fucking peers, and at least the guy has a solid resume. He's had a bit of solid recognizable names that he's fought and beaten in the UFC, and also a lot of elite guys that he may have lost to, but he gave him a good fucking scrap, whereas Max Griffin is coming off a loss to washed up, I have shit on the UFC, pushing up my glasses, Michael fucking Chiesa going commentator. Michael Chiesa went out there and beat him fucking dominantly and got a good submission win over Griffin. So, and you're looking at Chris Curtis, who's just coming off of a nice back and forth in January with up-and-comer and really dynamic, powerful kickboxer Roman Kopylov, who is levels above a guy like fucking Chiesa right now, at least right fucking now. So at the end of the day, I feel like even though Curtis is coming off a loss, and even though Griffin is coming off a loss, it's like Roman Kopylov is at least a very dangerous opponent, young, hungry, on the fucking rise, and proved his wrestling in that fight, and they had one of the best fights of this year, top fucking 15 or 20, and then you have Max Griffin losing to Michael fucking Chiesa, who just again is coming off a stinker at Atlanta, and just is beating up a lot of the old heads for the win streak he's on. So Max Griffin on paper is a solid fucking fighter, and he is a solid fighter. I gotta give it to him. He's not just gonna get beat up by absolutely fucking everybody. But at the end of the day, 20-11 record, man. Like, the guy is a bit of a journeyman here. He's not getting any younger. He's not getting any faster, and he's not gonna hit any fucking harder. And he's been very decision heavy as of late as well. So he's a bit of a decision merchant, a lot less of frequent finishes. And you have Chris Curtis, who's not even close to the biggest finisher in the world anyways, but at least the guy puts on entertaining scraps against Kelvin Gastelum, Roman Kopylov, shit like that. The guy puts on fun fights. He's got good boxing, good takedown defense, good pressure. So I feel like Chris Curtis is going to be able to win this one. I just think that Chris Curtis is not going to be afraid to get in the fucking pocket, man. He has the better boxing, the better counters, the better technique, and the better head movement, and fucking yada yada, man. Like, Chris Curtis is going to have every advantage on the feet, a lot more power as well, especially as of late, and he's got that durability to him. Like, Griffin is getting fucking cracked, but Chris Curtis barely gets knocked down in fights. He barely gets finished, you know what I mean? Like, that whole controversy with Roman Kopylov finishing him was a fucking thing, because Curtis, he's really hard to finish a rock. So the guy is going to be more durable. He's going to be the more active and powerful striker. And even though there's times where he's not super high output, there is a bit of a low output critique at times. I feel like that we've seen enough of him getting the fuck after it and pushing the pedal to the fucking metal to where I'm going to trust in him to really be beating up Max Griffin, who is susceptible to big shots. I think Griffin is going to try and push the tempo of the fight pretty early and try and test Curtis's cardio, but I think that Curtis is going to rely on precision and landing all the right counters to really get this one done. So I say a dominant decision from Chris Curtis. I say Max Griffin could maybe win the first round or have a couple of moments throughout the fight, but I feel like that Chris Curtis is going to be stuffing a lot of the occasional takedowns from Griffin and landing the bigger, and more powerful strikes here. So I'm going with Chris Curtis, man. He's one of my locks in my opinion. And moving on to the battle of God. This shit is robot versus chicken. This shit is Scott Pilgrim versus the last boss. This shit is Goku versus Beerus. This shit is literal gods on display. We have 6 and 3. Junior Tafa standing at a big bad 6'3". You got, for the height and the record, I fucked up there. And then you got Tokkos. Tuco motherfucking Tokkos standing at 6'4". 0-2 in the UFC. This guy's an absolute marauder. What the fuck do I say about this fight, bro? What the fuck do I say about this one? You got the elite knockout power. All 6 of this guy's wins. Junior fucking Tafa. This guy, brutal finisher on the feet. One of the most accurate strikers I've ever fucking seen. And his takedown defense, he might have got fucked up by Valter Walker on the ground, but he's something different. Really representing the Samoans, the Australians, even your fucking mother. It's Junior Tafa, bro. He's a bit one-dimensional, but let me tell you something. This guy hits fucking hard. And then you have Tokkos. 10 and 5. Absolute marauder. The grappling threat on this guy is unfucking Unbelievable. And a slight size advantage. Even though he's a bit inefficient on the feet and has poor takedown defense, the guy is a marauder on the fucking ground. And he's really aiming to get in the win column here. Who's going to be my fucking pick for this battle of gods? I'm going with Junior Tafa. I think Junior Tafa is going to win via some kind of knockout. I have nothing serious to say about this fight. I don't hate this matchmaking. I don't think it's it's just a jabroni versus jabroni matchup, man. It's funny for the fucking fans. I don't know if this matchup is funny to y'all, but it's funny to fucking me, man. It's just one of these fights. How seriously can you take it, man? Both these guys have so many just pure losses in the UFC, and this is opening up the fucking main card, I believe. So Junior Tafa is the slight favorite. He's gonna want to keep this fight fucking standing and utilize the sharper strikes. I feel like he's gonna be knocking out Tokkos, who is probably gonna try and be hunting for some takedowns pretty early on in the fight, or getting the fight into the clinch. Maybe try and get some ground and pound, a little submission here for fucking Tokkos. But I think that Junior Tafa, maybe he's been training with Craig Jones and JDM and fucking Alexander Volkanovski, and maybe this guy's got iron-walled takedown defense. But you know what? I think maybe it'll be solid enough to shut down Tokkos. I'm going with Tafa to get this one done. I don't know what the fuck to say about this fight, man. I don't know how seriously to take this one, man. Tafa versus Tokkos open up the main card in the big old 2025 is fucking crazy. But you know what? This matchup, it makes me laugh. It's a jabroni versus jabroni matchup here. Jobber versus jobber. The winner is going to be up next for Big Bad Tom Aspinall, seeing that the fucking state of the division. I think that Junior Tafa is going to win via some kind of knockout, man. Moving on up next to Vitor Petrino taking on Austin fucking Lane. And Petrino is a huge favorite, but don't let that fool you. He's been a big favorite in his past two fights, and he's fucking choked for the parlays. But you know what? I'm going once again with Vitor motherfucking Petrino here, man. I feel like Vitor Petrino, we thought that this guy was going to go fucking far. He was one of the better looking prospects on the rise for the division, and boom, he gets fucking fraud checked by Anthony goddamn Smith, and then he gets fucking brutally knocked out cold by Dustin Jacoby, who is solid. Anthony Smith is solid as well, but they're around just that lower tier in the rankings kind of fighter, like kind of like the better guys that linger outside the rankings, shit like that. So it's a rough look for Petrino, who actually is a crisp boxer. The guy is pretty precise, the guy has solid footwork, and he is a bit fluid in the stand-up game, and he does have a good mix of finishing ability. Like, he's primarily a striker, his grappling isn't all fucking that, but at the end of the day, he still is only 27. I feel like because he's so much younger than Austin Lane, I mean, he's 27 and Austin Lane is fucking 37, so you're dealing with an uncle and nephew here on paper. So at the end of the day, Petrino, I feel like, is just going to have more time to learn, more time to grow. And Austin Lane used to play defense for the fucking NFL, so it's fucking crazy to see now he's here, and he's just a bit of a jobber for this division, man. Like, Austin Lane, you look at that 13-6 record, I feel like it was 13-1 yesterday. This guy keeps getting brutally knocked the fuck out, and it's such a winnable enough fight for Vitor Petrino to where, even though he is on a 2-fight losing skid right now, I feel like that this guy does have solid enough knockout power to translate it up to heavyweight, and I feel like he has a point to prove, and it's a big enough step down in competition to where you're going from Smith to Jacoby to now Austin fucking Lane, to where Austin Lane does have a couple of wins. Don't get me wrong, in the UFC, this guy beat Robelis to Spain, so anything could fucking happen, but I'm gonna be trusting in Vitor Petrino to just be the more athletic guy, the younger fighter, the faster fighter, more to fucking prove, the better record overall. I feel like he's gonna be hunting for the knockout. I believe this is his first fight at heavyweight. I feel like the light heavyweight move was just not it for him, so he's stepping up now to take on this bigger weight class, and I feel like his mold will be able to do okay. Like, I see that most recently we had Kennedy Nzechukwu do it. He's been doing well, and then you have Ryan Spann. He got knocked the fuck out. So these light heavyweights moving up to heavyweight, I feel like Johnny Walker should try it as well. They're gonna do pretty solid, but it all depends on how good is the guy, because heavyweight is such a shallow division, especially the guys hanging outside the rankings like Austin fucking Lane, to where Vitor Petrino, he might be on a skid, but I feel like his boxing and power and athleticism is good enough to be able to knock out Austin Lane, who is chinny, and I understand this guy's fighting for his fucking family out there, but Austin Lane's wrestling is just not all that unless you got fucking nothing on the ground, and I feel like that Vitor Petrino is at this point a better grappler than a Robelis to Spain. So Austin Lane, he's not absolutely fucking terrible, but when he's just a jobber in such a shallow division like heavyweight, it says a lot, man. Like, his striking isn't all that, his power isn't all that, like the grappling isn't all that, so he's just kind of there, and I feel like that this is a bit of a layout for Vitor Petrino to finally get his hype back and finally get back in the win column, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how he transitions up to heavyweight, if that mold is going to fit well for him, but I feel like this guy's got a youthful gas tank. strength and enough fucking power and enough motivation after these 2 losses to where I think he's going to be knocking out Austin Lane here, bro. And moving on up next to Nate the Train Landwehr, one of the most people forget, man, kind of picks on the roster here, taking on Morgan Charriere. Now, Nate Landwehr, another one of the hardcore fucking dreams here. They're pushing up their glasses, hanging up their posters for Nate Landwehr, and I can't blame him. The guy is exciting. I get the hype. I understand it. He's entertaining to watch. Relentless fucking pressure, but at the end of the day, I picked him to beat Doo Ho Choi in his last outing, and he got fucked up. Just a bit of a low output on the feet and was missing a lot of his shots that he was really trying to take out Choi with, and Choi just showed relentless grappling in that fight and really good ground and pound to where I think that his wrestling is going to be better than a guy like Morgan Charriere, so he's taking on now, but I feel like regardless, Morgan Charriere is going to have a lot of the advantages going against Landwehr, and Landwehr, he just looked rough in that last fight where he was the fucking favorite, I believe, so now he's a massive underdog going against Charriere, and I'm going to be trusting in Charriere to get this one done. He's one of these French fighters where it's like, I don't rate him very highly, like I think he gets smoked by most of the guys in the rankings, but I feel like at the end of the day, he's good enough and well-rounded enough to where he can kind of hang with the guys lingering outside of it. So I feel like Nate the Train, he's going to put forward a very high output on the feet and a very heavy pressure right out of the fucking gate. He's gritty with it, man, and his fights are barely fucking boring, so I feel like he's going to bring the pace, pressure, and excitement out of Charriere, who's kind of a decision merchant here and there, but he also has enough power in his fucking hands to get some crazy fucking knockouts. But this one ain't in France, so we're going to have to see it, man. But Nate Landwehr, the thing about him, I know he's coming off of that brutal fucking ground and pound loss to Doo Ho Choi, but he is proven to be pretty durable. So I feel like that due to his solid fucking chin and his high resistance to wrestling, I feel like, well, unless you're really elite enough to be down there, but I don't know if Charriere is that. So I feel like because Landwehr is solidly durable and because he does have higher finishing ability, he always does have a chance to be in the fight and be able to beat a guy like Charriere. But Charriere is just the younger fighter, the faster fighter. I feel like he's got a bit more to prove here. The guy is able to be in the pocket with the striker on the level of Nate Landwehr, man. So I feel like Charriere's dynamic striking, solid cardio and resilience, and the fact that he's a big favorite is going to play into his favor. So I feel like primarily this fight is going to play out on the feet. But I feel like at the same time, like he just hasn't been all that in his past few fights like we've wanted him to be. He's kind of winning one and losing one, and he does kind of fade a bit as the fight goes on. Like his cardio is solid. I just fucking said that. But at the same time, if he's going against a guy who puts on a high enough pace or hits really fucking hard, possibly like Nate Landwehr, I feel like that's going to be a problem for Charriere. So I feel like for Landwehr, his game plan going into this one is going to be able to smother Charriere with constant pressure and really force rough scrambles and body work onto him and look for a few openings in the later rounds, because Charriere, his mission is going to be the fucking opposite. Stay off the fence, keep it technical, and hunt precise knockout opportunities. Let Landwehr set the pace and come to you instead of just getting into dangerous exchanges in the pocket, because Landwehr has got the power and explosivity to knock him the fuck out. Charriere, he is beatable. He's been finished before, and he's been fucking beaten recently. So for Landwehr, he might not be all that in terms of his skill set, but I do think that he's solid enough and powerful enough and motherfucking exciting enough to take out Charriere and really make a heavy pace right out the gate, really apply a lot of pressure, and find all the right shots to knock out Charriere. But Landwehr's a bit chinny as well. He might be durable, but if Charriere really is going to be technical with it to where he is just going to really stay off the fence and really hunt for the opportunities and let him come to him and really apply the value more than anything, I feel like Charriere, man, is going to be able to get this one done. He's the favorite, and I don't think this fight is going to go to the ground at all, but this is great matchmaking on display. I feel like it's going to be a fucking banger no matter how much it ends, and Nate Landwehr definitely has a chance, but I'm going to be trusting in slightly better striking in Morgan Charriere. He's just a bit more dynamic and quick on the feet, and I feel like he'll be able to survive the storm early on, man. So moving on up next to Calvin Kattar taking on Steve Garcia for the featured fight of this fight card, man. And I feel like from this fight onwards and the co-main and the main, these are probably the most high stakes matchups we fucking got on the card. Well, no shit, it's the latter end of it, but I feel like that this is where you get into the rank name territory and things are getting a little more fucking serious. All right, Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. I want to say this: it's not a fight that I've been fucking tossing and turning in bed over, and really just this shit is keeping me up at night. But I will say that it is a banger of a matchup. You got a striker on a fucking losing skid and Calvin Kattar, who hits solidly fucking hard and has a lot to prove, and it has a step down in competition here, but it's realistic enough for him to win or lose, hence the betting odds for this being so close. And you have Steve Garcia, who has a lot less experience in the UFC, but he's on an absolute tear right now. He's primarily a striker as well. He's getting knockout after knockout after knockout. If you look at this guy, he looks like he'd work at a fucking Best Buy, but at the end of the day, he's got hands of goddamn steel. His finishing rate is absolutely insane. He hits so fucking hard on the feet, and he has been fighting a lot less caliber of competition, a lot lower of caliber of competition than a guy like Calvin Kattar for this win streak that he's on right now. So that's a real fucking thing. Like, that's why the betting odds are so close. That's why there's a good argument for both guys, and that's why it's so hard to predict, because Kattar has been facing the Aljamain Sterlings and the Max fucking Holloways, and Steve Garcia is facing a bit of the jobbers outside of the rankings on his win streak, and this is going to be his biggest name, biggest test for competition by fucking far in Calvin Kattar. So Calvin Kattar's a guy where he's not really going to be trying to get this fight to the ground, and I don't think Steve Garcia is either. I feel like this is just going to be a stand and bang kind of fucking war here. I feel like it's going to be hot paced, high pressure from both guys. Both are going to be hunting for the finish or the knockout. Like Calvin Kattar right now being 0-4 in his last 4 is a crime to fucking see, because people forget, man, this guy was 1 away from a title shot back in the day, and now he's just being 1 away from being cut from the UFC. So it's very unfortunate, but I feel like his striking is good enough, is precise enough, and he does have a solid enough output and a durable enough chin to where I feel like maybe he can hang with Steve Garcia. It is hard to finish Calvin Kattar, especially on the feet, but also it could be very possible here for Steve Garcia. The guy's a good enough striker and hits fucking hard enough and has the slight advantage in the height and the reach department to where I think that he will be able to get this one done. I was really hoping he would be a slight fucking underdog here so I could cash on it, but it is what it is. He's barely a slight favorite. The fight's just going to continue to play out very close in the betting odds. This fight is just simple but sweet, man. Like, both these guys have a lot to prove, but in very different regards. They're at very different points in their careers. Calvin Kattar, you think the motherfucker is 45 and a goddamn half, but he's only 37. Steve Garcia is 33. Again, has the slight height and reach advantage, and I feel like he's going to have the slight power advantage here. But Calvin Kattar, he looked good in that third round and the second half of the fight in general against Yusuf Salau. So if he can get the fuck after it in the output and really set a heavy pace to maybe tire out Steve Garcia, drag him into the later rounds, land the better shots, land the bigger shots, throw a bit more output to win on the judges' scorecards, and maybe even Calvin Kattar getting a vintage fucking finish, who the hell knows? But Steve Garcia hits like a fucking truck. The guy is one of the most under the radar prospects that the UFC has right now. Nobody's talking about Steve Garcia, but they should. So I don't know how far he's going to go for the division, but I feel like that Calvin Kattar, even though this is winnable for him, it is going to play out where he fucking wants it to, his bread and butter on the feet. This isn't a Sterling who's going to try and hold you fucking down like Hornswoggle holding down the fucking gold, all right? Calvin Kattar, this is winnable for him. It's going to be a striking battle, but Steve Garcia, I feel like his power and pressure and momentum and being the younger, faster fighter is going to be too fucking much for Calvin Kattar, who is just at the tail end of his career and is very close to being cut. But I'm rooting for Kattar to win this one, but also I fuck with Steve Garcia and I'm down for a fresh name in the rankings here, man. So it's going to be a scrap. I'm going with Steve Garcia by knockout. Moving on to the co-main event, and this one tears me the fuck apart. It's another, I mean, Jesus, all three of these big fights on the main card are really just Unk versus prospect matchups here. We got Stephen Thompson taking on Gabriel Bonfim, and unfortunately, I gotta go with the heavy grappler, the 17-1 prospect that is Gabriel Bonfim. I can't believe these guys have the same number of fucking wins, because Stephen Thompson has been around the UFC for so long. People forget, man, this guy was fighting for the belt with Tyron Woodley like it was fucking yesterday, and now he is here for arguably his retirement fight, going against Gabriel Bonfim, who's another prospect who's kind of under the radar, who before he was riding a shit ton of hype and momentum. The Bonfim brothers, they're knockout artists, they're submission artists, they're gonna take the fuck over, they're crazy, their highlight reels are nuts, but at the end of the day, when he did suffer that loss before his recent win over Chaos Williams, it really put a halt in everything. Like, it showed that Bonfim, he is gonna be beatable here, and there are a bit of holes in his game to where I think Stephen Thompson's even a guy who could beat him. I'm so tempted to go with him. I love Wonder Boy. He's one of the first fighters that I had who I really loved when I was first getting into the sport, man. Like, I remember being a Stephen Thompson diehard, man, and now here I am with a tear in my eye, and I'm picking Gabriel Bonfim to either submit him or just really be able to efficiently control him on the ground for most of this fight, really be clean with the takedown entries, and really just utilize his dominant and efficient grappling to where maybe he'll be able to submit Stephen Thompson. Maybe he'll be able to just drag it out over 3 rounds and just fucking win this one of the judges' scorecards. But Gabriel Bonfim is the younger fighter, the faster fighter, the one who's just more in it right now. Stephen Thompson, man, he's one of these guys where he's a fan favorite. He's exciting on the feet. He's so fucking old now. Let's just cut the shit. Like, he's 42 years old, man. But he's still a good enough striker and has enough high-level experience and has good enough takedown defense to where, honestly, I legitimately can't see him winning this fight. Like, if his takedown defense really holds the fuck up and he's able to efficiently stuff a lot of the takedowns, or really just if Bonfim does land a few, he's able to efficiently get back up in 15 to 30 seconds and really just utilize the cardio, utilize the experience. Like, because this isn't the first big bad test for Stephen Thompson on the ground. Like, he's fought his fair share of grapplers, especially guys who are very comfortable down there, like a guy like Bonfim. He's fought these kinds of guys before, jiu-jitsu artists or heavy USA wrestlers. It doesn't matter. Stephen Thompson's been been around the fucking block. But at the end of the day, man, I just think that for each fight that goes on in Stephen Thompson's career, more and more, he's getting slower. His takedown defense is being more susceptible to actually being broke fucking through. His striking isn't as fast or precise or hits as hard as it used to, man. But Stephen Thompson, he's still one of the better strikers for the division for welterweight, which is crazy to fucking say because he's getting so up there in age. But I feel like that his striking just isn't where it was in the past to be able to get past this test in Gabriel Bonfim. Because Gabriel Bonfim, I don't think is the level of striker that Stephen Thompson is. Bonfim is solid on the feet. Like, the guy can take a fucking shot and deliver one as well, but I don't think his striking is all that. He relies a lot more on the grappling to get shit done. Whether it be by subs or decision, don't fucking matter. Not to say he can't get a knockout once in a while. He absolutely can. He does have a high output on the feet, but at the end of the day, Bonfim is going to be the much more fledged grappler here, and I feel like Stephen Thompson, even though with the solid takedown defense, is much more primarily going to be the striker here. So I feel like the Bonfim is going to be alright enough on the feet to really move the fuck forward and set a heavy pace against Thompson and try and drag him to the fucking ground and either control him down there or aim for some ground and pound or some kind of fucking submission. But Gabriel Bonfim, I just think he's the younger fighter, the faster fighter, and has more momentum to where Stephen Thompson, I would love to see him win this fight, especially if it's his goddamn retirement fight, man. I so badly don't want to see him just go out on a loss because Stephen Thompson, it breaks my fucking heart like I'm the Godfather, man. He keeps losing all these fights in a row, but it just is what it is. The new guard has to take over the old eventually, and hopefully this isn't the case, but for Stephen Thompson, man, this might just be it. I'm rooting for him to win. He has a legitimate, real shot. He could totally win via some kind of knockout or back and forth war on the feet or just some kind of decision here for him, but I think Gabriel Bonfim is too solid. He is well-rounded. He's younger and faster and has so much more to prove, and there's a reason why he's one of the biggest favorites on the card. So unfortunately, I'm going to be going with Gabriel Bonfim to get this one done. I think the grappling is just going to be too fucking much, and the new guard is going to take over. And moving on to the big bad main event that is Derek fucking Lewis taking on Tafa Teixeira. I can't even say this one without fucking breaking out laughing a little bit here. My boys, Derek Lewis versus Teixeira being the main event in the big old 2025. I don't know what to do with myself. All right, like, because I feel like this fight isn't bad enough to where it shouldn't be like a featured fight for a fight night, or it can't be like a feature prelim for a pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, this should not be a goddamn main event. And heavyweight is so shallow to where Tafa Teixeira, he is a good prospect to invest in. He had a great appearance on the Contender Series for a debut, and then he showed up at UFC 312 and took the soul out of Justin Tafa, landed a nasty fucking elbow within the first 30 seconds of the fight, I believe. Within the first minute at least, that dropped him to the fucking ground. He immediately got him up against the fence. The guy shows good pressure, good power, and good striking on display for heavyweight standards especially. So Tafa Teixeira, he is a good prospect to invest in, but at the end of the day, man, one win over Justin Tafa, an 8-0 record, and you're already ranked and getting the Derek Lewis test for your second fight in the UFC. That's the shit I don't fucking like about this fight, man, especially why it's getting its own main event, because Tafa Teixeira, he's got the Phantom Troop tattoo and everything. He's got a great highlight reel. He's 6'7", all right? UFC just got a Shaq up in here, but he's Brazilian. But at the end of the day, the guy has so much you kind of want in a heavyweight. Great highlight reel. He's explosive. He's young. He's entertaining. He's only fucking 25, 6'7" in height, and 83 inches in reach. Like, you want Tafa Teixeira to kind of be a prospect you can invest in for heavyweight, but Derek Lewis, this fucking unk of the sport, and I love Derek Lewis, but he just might be a solid enough of a veteran and have devastating enough knockout power to where I genuinely can see him beating up Tafa Teixeira. Like, that's the thing. I don't think Derek Lewis should be this much of an underdog. My prediction here is going to be Tafa Teixeira. I think that Tafa Teixeira is going to win this one, but I did not expect Derek Lewis to be a plus 225 fucking underdog from what I'm looking at right now, man. Like, the fight, I feel like, especially because, not to sound like Joe Rogan here, it's heavyweight. You don't know what these guys are going to do. It's a completely different sport. These guys are marauders. They can take out each other's lights at all fucking time. I understand that from Rogan, but at the end of the day, Lewis really can do that. Like, he really does have the power and high level experience, so much more fucking experience than Tafa Teixeira, to where maybe I could see him kind of just, I don't want to say gassing out Teixeira and just dodging his biggest shots in the early goings and playing it safe, and then Derek Lewis taking over in the second and third. This is heavyweight, and it's Derek fucking Lewis, so I don't see that being a thing at all. This isn't no fucking bantamweight scrap. If Derek Lewis is going to win, it's going to be by some fluky second or third round KO out of fucking nowhere while Teixeira's beating him the fuck up. Maybe it'll be a first round KO. Maybe another flying knee, but either way, I feel like if Lewis wins, it's going to be him being down on the judges' scorecards or just getting beat the fuck up, and Teixeira just might not be enough, and Lewis just takes over, because Teixeira being 8-0 and his best win is Justin Tafa, and you have Derek Lewis, who has fought for the belt multiple fucking times, and he has over 40 pro fucking fights, or I believe this is going to be his 41st pro fight, and for Taliesin Teixeira, he's not even in the double digits yet, win or lose, so the experience difference is crazy, but I'm going to trust in the power, the explosivity, and just the speed of Taliesin Teixeira. Like, again, we haven't seen too much footage of him, but the guy looks fucking quick, and you have these Jalen Almeidas and Tom Aspinalls, and I guess you could maybe even say a Cyril Gane, but because Cyril Gane does move like a middleweight, but a Teixeira as well, especially if he gets past Derek Lewis, he's really going to be one of these heavyweights that is showing off the new fucking era. Not to sound like One Piece here, the worst generation's taking over, but I feel like Taliesin Teixeira could be one of these heavyweights that does move like a fucking middleweight and hits fucking hard and still has a bit of speed on the feed, and they have good takedown defense, but the fucking crazy high output and the crazy power from Taliesin Teixeira, I feel like it's just going to be too much for Derek Lewis. Again, Lewis by all means could fucking fluke this one. He has the Unk plot armor. I could totally see him getting it done, but at the end of the day, the guy has been finished. The guy has been beaten. He can get out grappled. He can get beat up in the clinch, and he can get knocked the fuck out in the feet. So Lewis, he has power here. He has experience, but I'm going with Taliesin Teixeira. He's the younger, sharper fighter. He has a massive size advantage here. The guy hits fucking hard. He's fast. We don't know how good of his grappling is, but I'm going to be trusting that Derek Lewis isn't the fucking type of person to really be taking down Teixeira and exposing him on the ground. He ended that Martin Tybura test yet, but he might be after this. So I'm trusting in Taliesin Teixeira to get this one done. Again, I don't think he should be this big of a favorite, but it is what it fucking is. Lewis can totally fluke this one, or maybe just get it done via experience and veteran status, but I'm trusting in Taliesin Teixeira. This Phantom Troop representing motherfucker. He's scary, he's powerful, and he's a good prospect to invest in for heavyweight. And moving on now, man, some closing time type shit. All right, we're finishing up the video with the blanks of the card, baby. We got the fucking locks of the card, the underdog of the card, the wild card of the card, and the card rating overall. So basically, I'm going to explain all these as it goes. They're self-explanatory, but we'll get to it when we get to it, okay? So just starting off with the underdog of the card here, man. Which one of my underdog picks am I the most confident in to get this one done? So I've been doing pretty good with the underdogs this year, and usually when I don't pick an underdog of the card to get it right, the other underdog I've chosen on the same card ends up fucking winning. So I'm doing solid with it, but unfortunately this is one of those cards where I've only picked one underdog, and that is Jake fucking Matthews here, who is a pick to where I could see him getting it done, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not too crazily confident in it. It's one of my lesser confident picks on the card. So at the end of the fucking day, this ain't no Renier de Ritter beating Bo Nickel for me, all right? This ain't no Kevin Allen beating Vicente fucking Luque. This is Jake Matthews beating cheating Njokuani, and I'm not too confident in it, but at the end of the day, he's the only underdog I picked, so I'm going to be going in Jake Matthews to get this one done via being Smoke's only fucking underdog he chose. So moving on up next to my locks of the card. Which of these picks on the card that I have made do I think are not fucking losing? They're guaranteed damn near to win, and I'm the most confident in them. I immediately got to throw Chris Curtis to beat Max Griffin right away. I'm going to be putting Vitor Petrino to be beating Austin Lane, and I'm also going to be throwing in Mike Davis to beat Mitch Ramirez. So overall, we have 4 locks, man. I'm feeling myself on this card, and I honestly think that it's just there's a reason why these guys are such big favorites, and I just see them totally fucking getting it done. So I'm going with Mike Davis, Chris Curtis, Vitor Petrino. Okay, so never mind. I went with 3. Okay, I went with 3, but those are going to be my 3 locks of the card. I want to say like a Taliesin Teixeira or a fucking Gabriel Bonfim as well, but I could see Lewis and Thompson maybe getting those upsets. So those are going to be my 3 or 4 locks of the card here, man. And moving on now to my wild card of the card. Who's somebody who's being pretty overlooked that can actually really get this win done, and they're kind of could be able to shake up the rankings a little bit, and it's a big win for him, and a lot of people aren't going with him. Who is the wild card overall who's being overlooked for this card? I'm gonna be going with Valter Walker. Like, he's a guy where genuinely heavyweight doesn't have a lot of prospects that we're working with right now, and it just so happens that Kennedy Nzechukwu, his opponent, is one of them, and he actually has a solid amount of hype that he's building up right now, and if he's able to beat Valter Walker, especially by some kind of knockout, I feel like that he's gonna go even further up. So the thing is, if Valter Walker
Walker is able to win this one, which I can totally see him doing, I feel like the hype is gonna be transitioning over to him, because he's somebody where nobody's really talking or thinking about him. Like, not a lot of people are shaking in their bed thinking about the big bad Valter fucking Walker, but genuinely, with his submission skills and with his wrestling, I can actually see him getting it done if Nzechukwu isn't as good on the ground as we think he is, because he's nothing too crazy down there, but we think he's alright enough to knock out Valter Walker. But I genuinely think that Valter Walker, 13-1, I think that this guy has the chance to be the wild card of the card and shake up the heavyweight rankings and make his way into it. So moving on up last now, man, to the card rating. What am I going to rate this fight night from 1 to 10? Now, a 5 being an average card. There's some good fights, there's some bad fights. It's an average card. A 1 being absolutely fucking trash. It's just one of those bummy, scummy, gritty fucking Apex cards that you and your mother don't give a shit about. And then you have a 10 out of 10. This is the S tier fight night. It's absolutely stacked. Goddamn blissful to watch, okay? Lots of name depth and lots of great matchups. So what am I going to rate this one out of 10? I feel like in terms of a fight night, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. This is a solid fucking card. And again, I'm genuinely looking forward to it. Like, it's not the deepest in the world. The prelims aren't all that. You got 2 WMMA fights that my ass fucking skipped over. And I feel like that the main event is kind of just not the level of what a main event should be, especially for 2025. But at the end of the day, the main card is fucking solid. And the prelims, although it's not too crazy, it is solidly recognizable names, and the fact that there is some good solid matchmaking on display. Like Matthews versus Njokuani, that's a bit of a banger. You got Chris Curtis on the fucking prelims, he's a bit of a recognizable name. Nzechukwu versus Walker, prospect versus prospect. Davis is going to go out there and beat the fucking Mitch Ramirez, so it's alright on the prelims. And the main card, again, it's nothing too revolutionary here, but it is solid to where I think we're going to see on and off finishes, good back and forth wars, and there's enough recognizable names to where, you know what, I'm going to give this one a solid 5 out of 10. It's an average card, but that doesn't make it bad by any fucking means. Like, there's shit to look forward to here, but it's nothing too crazy. This should just be the standard of what we get for a fight night, in my humble fucking opinion. You know what I mean? Especially in front of a crowd. So at the end of the day, a 5 is fucking solid. So thank you guys so very much for making it this far in the video, man. I really appreciate it. Let me know your picks in the comments below, man. Let me know some of your locks to the card. Who's your underdog of the fucking card? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. What do you think of my picks? Where am I shit? And where am I going to be right here, man? So let me know in the comments below. And as usual, my boys, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention. I really fucking appreciate it. Please give this video a like. Please hit subscribe. It means the fucking world to me. But regardless, thank you so very much for making it this far in the video and listening to me fucking yeah, man. I really appreciate it. So all the smoke here. Hope you have a good time watching the fights this weekend, boys. And I will see you all next time.